Hey guys, welcome to Culture Therapy. I'm Esra Chadad, your multicultural therapist. Last time we talked about depression and how to get through a depressive episode, and today I thought I'd share with you guys 5 things to do that help you stay out of the depression after a depressive episode. If you missed my last video about depression, you can click at the link down in the description box below and watch that first. Otherwise, let's get right to it. Whether you have a diagnosis for depression or not, I think we can agree that keeping depression at bay is a good thing. This entails building resilience and having a generally healthy lifestyle both for your mind and for your body. Let's take a look at some things that I do that help me keep depression away. Number 1, implementing a self-care routine. First, I'm sure you guys have heard that self-care is a very important thing to have to stave away depression. It's really easy to find self-care tips all over the internet, and there's a plethora of things to look through on the internet to figure out what things are self-care and what's not self-care. But because there's so much information available, it seems like a very daunting task to build a self-care program for yourself, and it seems a lot more exhausting than the relaxing and easy experience that it's supposed to be. I can make a more detailed video about my own self-care routine to give you guys an example, but basically here's the bottom line for putting some form of self-care in place. You need to sit down and brainstorm a bunch of activities that you enjoy doing for yourself that are completely about you, and then pick out 2 activities max that you can implement per day. A very important thing is if you can't implement them every day and you miss a day, you do not beat yourself up about it. This is for you to relax and to have fun, and if you are a little bit more busy one day, no big deal. Preferably, it would be one activity that is a mental activity, something like meditation or deep breathing to reduce anxiety or certain things like that. And the second would be an activity that is a physical activity that you find enjoyable and relaxing. It's also very important that your self-care activity fits into your busy schedule. So choose one that does. Here's an example for me. I implemented some exercise and added into my self-care routine. So if anyone knows me on a personal level, they know how much I hate exercise. But the thing is, over the year, and the more I did it, the more I realized that it actually is a very efficient way for me to de-stress and get my head together. You guys also have probably heard that exercise is a very, very important activity for keeping depression at bay, simply because when you move your body, certain brain hormones or neurotransmitters are produced, and they swim around in your brain. They're called serotonin and endorphins, and these help regulate mood. And because depression is a mood disorder, regulating your mood is effectively an excellent way to keep depression away. So now I do half an hour each day of exercise, and I scheduled it after my workday because that's when I realize I need it the most, and that's when exercise brings me the most joy. And now I actually do something that I used to hate regularly because I'm very happy doing it. That is what self-care is all about. Number 2, fostering healthy relationships. There's nothing wrong with being there for a friend that needs help and always sticking out for those that need you. However, if you need some time for yourself, you also need to take it, and you also need to surround yourself with the people that will help you take care of yourself. You do not need to be sitting down with people who remind you of the misery of life and the hopelessness of it all the time. What you need is the people that are going to be able to bring you up and out of it in between phases. So if you're fostering these healthy relationships when you do actually slip back into depression, if you do, then in this case, you are going to have a much easier time calling them, and you're going to have a much more fun time being with these kinds of people than those that are actually going to keep putting you down. So between depressive episodes, take care to foster these awesome relationships that you have. Number 3, learning to recognize your negative emotions and dealing with them adequately. Sometimes depression doesn't seem to have a trigger, you are just suddenly thrust into it. However, the triggers are there, but sometimes we are just not aware of what our triggers are. One good way to figure out your triggers is by simply observing how you feel and the negative emotions that come with how you feel in a given situation. Being able to recognize it as soon as you start feeling bad in a situation is paramount. As soon as you figured out what situation made you feel bad, you can then at the end of the day take a seat and think about what happened and what aspects of it made you feel bad. There's an art to thinking about a bad thing that happened that day without falling into rumination and whys and I should have done this and I should have done that, and then going into a very unhealthy way of thinking about it. You do not want to go down a rabbit hole of agony and self-blame. And the only way to do that is by staying as objective as you can about the situation and the feelings that you have. Basically, you take a back seat about the situation and your feelings, and you become more of an observer, an objective observer about it. That way, you can acknowledge the fact that you feel bad, and you could thank yourself for actually having that feeling, because that feeling is a very clear warning sign that something in the situation was wrong. And then you can figure out what in the situation was wrong and put yourself a game plan on how to avoid it or deal with it if the situation should occur again, so you don't feel as bad as you do right now. Once you've done that and you've thanked yourself for that emotion, you simply let it go. Now I know it sounds like some kind of miracle solution, but human beings are actually built to deal with emotions in this exact way. None of us want to feel bad, but actually acknowledging that we do and working through them and processing them with their situation and what to do about them next is the right way to do it. Some people find it easier than others to do this, others find it harder than others to deal with this in this specific way. However, everyone, literally everyone, is capable of doing that. It takes a little bit of practice because we've gotten very used to not wanting to feel bad feelings and to push them away. But the more you practice actually living with that bad feeling and with these negative emotions and then just letting them tell you what they need to say and then letting them go, the easier it will be over time. And when you let it go, you won't have to ruminate about it and you won't have to fall back into depression. Number 4, do some concreteness training for your memory. People suffering from depression are notorious for having overgeneralized memory. That means that when a specific event triggers a negative emotion in us, we feel so much distress because we tend to ignore all of the details in the objective situation and focus instead on how we messed up, on how terrible we feel about it, and then that launches us into absolute misery and greater distress. The best way to avoid all of this distress and the amplification of the distress, because we're focusing on what we did and how we feel, is to focus on the actual situations and the concrete details of the situation that led to us feeling this way. That way, you learn to see negative situations in a more objective light, and you are a lot less triggered by these situations. It does take some training, but the really cool thing is that our memory can be trained to do basically whatever we want it to do. So why not gain a new skill and keep depression away? Number 5, do therapy. Guys, this is a big one. If doing all of the above seems like a very daunting task to do alone, then why not hire some help? We are literal professionals that can actually help you put down the self-care routine, help you learn concreteness training, or at least lead you down a way of learning about how to deal with your negative emotions in a positive way and a healthy way. The thing about that is when we are really deep in it, we start to realize how much we need therapy. And so we make a lot of plans and think, okay, as soon as I get the motivation and as soon as I get out of this haze that I'm in, I'm going to call a therapist. And then we get out of it and we start realizing, hey, you know what? I'm not doing so bad. You know, I don't think I need to call just yet. Only a few weeks later to go right back down where we were and realizing that we need to call someone all over again. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Guys, please just make the call. If you're in the middle of the crisis, make the call. If you're out of it and feel like you're okay, if you feel like you needed it at any point during that time, just make the call and come and show up. What'll actually happen is usually, like, if you're in the middle of depression, the therapist is going to help you kind of get out of the episode, build you out of it a little bit, and then when you're out of the depressive episode, that's when the serious, hard work on your triggers, on dealing with your emotions, and all of the important things that keep depression away is done. So actually, when you're outside of the depressive episode, this is the ideal time to do the heavy lifting on the real issues and the core of the problem with depression, and to actually build your own resilience and your healthy lifestyle to help you get out of it and stay out of it. So it really doesn't matter when you guys call us. As a therapist, I will gladly let you know that no matter where you are in your mental health journey, we will be welcoming you with open arms. So please just call. These are all the tips that I have for you guys. I hope they helped a little bit in being able to see certain things that you can do between depressive episodes to keep the depressive episodes away. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And do let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I always love reading your comments. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!